Just Dressing Channel. I am Ski Nerd, and that is.
Derp, derp.
Ooh. Today we got a great, awesome review. It is a Bob Odenkirk movie known as Girlfriend's Day. I selected this one not knowing anything about the movie, not knowing any of the reviews about the movie, just knowing that Bob Odenkirk's in it. And boy, was I disappointed. All right. Do you remember how the movie started?
Oh, first of all, hit that subscribe, comment. Almost towards that, almost at that 10,000 like goal or subscription goal. We're at just under, I think, 1,500 to go. 1,500
When
to
I
go.
saw the number, I almost puked. It was very disgusting watching you guys subscribe to the channel, knowing that if we hit 10,000, we have to review all of One Piece.
And if we get to that by this coming Thursday, instead of doing just 5 episodes, we will start doing 10 a week.
Okay.
Just so it goes a little faster.
Yeah, because it's like torture, man. Just torture.
Instead of 500 weeks of it, we can cut it down to
Jesus.
250 weeks.
Jesus Christ! You know how many? There's 52 weeks in a year. That's 3 years. That's 3 years.
Maybe eventually we'll just go to one season per at a time. Just review the arcs.
That's 3 years, everyone. 3 years of nothing but the same thing over and over and over again.
The main issue with that
Come
is
on.
we don't watch them together, so it's harder to do like a whole arc.
Yeah, well.
And we don't watch at the same pace.
No, I get distracted by other things. More important things like
watching paint dry.
Football.
Watching paint dry.
Football. That just started up.
Watching paint dry.
Listening to the news and yeah, watching paint dry. Okay.
But
let's saving the best one for last.
Let's get to the review.
Right, the review, of course. Well, it starts off talking about nothing but greeting cards. Look how great greeting cards are. Hooray!
It even starts with saying, or a quote from a greeting card maker.
Yeah, I didn't write that down.
It's something like, talked about the greatness or how bland greeting cards is, and just remember somebody wrote that.
Somebody did write it, and it was probably from some.
It was something like that.
Card writer guy that started with an E, I think. I think it was Eugene. Not really sure, but it doesn't really matter. Well, I guess he's looking it up right now.
No,
but
it doesn't say it.
All right, excellent. Less things to worry about. Anyways, starts off with Bob Odenkirk, and he's like, "Hey, back in the day, I used to write the best romantic greeting cards. I won the best one, and I got to this woman, and I had sex with her, and because I told her I wrote greeting cards, blah, blah, blah." And one of the young interns is like, "Oh, how long ago was that?" Like, digging into how old he is. It was like over 10 years ago at this point, but he won the best card writer guy 3 years in a row, or at least at that company. And turns turns out he gets called in by his boss, and he's like, "Hey, I got some great ideas. I got this one and this one. Even one had some dimes in it." He's like, "You're right. It shouldn't be dimes. It should be quarters." He immediately gets fired, and he's like, "Oh, crap! I can't work." So it goes to him. He gets his guild card taken away. I didn't know that was a thing. Maybe it's not a thing. Maybe it is a thing. I don't know. But he got his guild card taken away. Anyways, so he goes to the bar to drink in the middle of the day, and he sees a guy named Taft. This guy named Taft used to work at the company, and he was
He was played by Larry Fessenden.
wow, and he was kind of his idol, Bob Odenkirk's idol. And he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm writing a novel." "Oh, what are you up to?" "Three. I've written three." "Oh, 3 chapters?" "Nah, 3 words." And forever how long it took him.
My question was it even part of the book, or was it just the title? Or his name?
Once upon a blank.
Or yeah, or then just his name, too.
Oh, the and then his name.
The blank and then Taft.
Anyway, so he tells him something. He's like, "Hey, remember, don't write for anyone. You gotta write for someone." Gives him that advice. That comes up later because that's how movies work. Anyways, then Bob Odenkirk goes to his apartment and he starts daydreaming about an owl having sex with a woman. And he wakes up and he cuts his hand. And we learn that 3 months later, he's in his apartment still, and uh, the landlord comes by. He's like, "Rent, give me rent." He's like, "Oh, I would be writing, but I hurt my tendon." He's like, "You have other hand. Go write with your other hand." He's like, "It doesn't work like that, man." He's like, "Well, I mean, I got my nephew here. If you look after him, I'll let you do the rent. I'll let you get off with the rent." He's like, "All right, whatever." Cool. So they're on the swing set, and some woman in the background is crying, and the kid is like, "Why is she crying?" He's like, "I don't know, maybe heart troubles." He's like, "Oh, okay, heart troubles. Well, what do you love?" "Well, I like trucks." And talking about like weird things with this kid, and then it cuts to like a guy um, taking pictures of him from a car, like really far away, which is really weird. Let's see, rent babysits to pay Peru. Oh, right. And then he goes back to the bar and he sees his former coworkers, and he's like, "Oh, hello, hey, how's it going?" And it's a bar where people do poetry and stuff like that. But they learn that his former boss wants to talk to him in the bathroom, which is really weird. And he's just like, "Hey, I got a proposal for you. I want you to write a girlfriend card." He's like, "I'll pay you this amount of money." He hands him some money. He's like, "You get tripled out when you're done." And he's like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna get some income." Uh, and then we learned that his mom died. Talking to his last, I think it was a former student of his.
Yep.
And he's like, "Yeah, what was the first card you wrote? Remember that?" He's like, "Oh yeah, so my mom died. It was come back soon," because everybody was telling them that she's gonna leave without saying that she was gonna die. And she was buried with the card, and that was his first card that he wrote, and that's how he got into card writing. Um, and then this poet guy comes on stage and he says a poem about some street light or something. And he comes over to Bob Odenkirk. He's like, "Hey, what do you think about work?" And he's like, "Stoplight."
Yep.
He's like, "What do you think about work?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know, whatever." And then there's these two ladies. They're like, "Oh man, we love your work." And he's like, "Oh, hey ladies, let's go over to this table and buy some drinks, and we can talk about poetry." They're like, "Okay." It was just really weird. He was obviously like depressed. He doesn't want to talk to anyone. Anyways,
I would give who is played by all of his coworkers, but I don't know their names. They never gave them any names.
Whitney Cummings is one of them, and one of the guys from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's one of the McBoyles. He was a person, and I don't know the other people.
But yeah, they didn't give them any names.
So they're uncredited. Awesome. That's cool. All right.
Like
Oh.
the poet guy looked familiar, but
Oh, I haven't seen him before. Just random Poe guy who does poetry to get laid. Anyways, then randomly
This guy.
on the news,
there you go.
yeah, I don't know. Randomly on the news, there's an announcement, and everybody's like, "Everybody, calm down! There's an announcement from the mayor or governor or something like that." I think it was the governor. And first of all, they're in a bar. Nobody gives a shit about the governor saying something. Nobody. Nobody. Anyways, so this governor announces like, "Hey, I got this new idea for a new holiday. It's called Girlfriend's Day. It was invented by my daughter, and I'll give a cash prize to people, to the person that can come up with a good card." Oh, her name was Stephanie Courtney. I thought that was Whitney Cummings. Never mind. That was not Whitney Cummings, everyone.
Yeah,
Looks like her.
The coworkers apparently are only Stephanie Courtney, Echo Callum, and Nate Mooney. And
Nate
Riddick Lord.
Mooney. You was in Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Echo Callum is the one that
Making love
looks
to his
familiar.
other siblings and drinking that milk. Anyways,
he isn't
okay.
in anything that I can see.
So Girlfriend's Day is announced, and we learn about Karen and how she used to.
His
That's his
ex-wife.
Yep, his ex-wife, and they got divorced 3 years ago, and that's when his decline in quality of cards also went down. And
We meet the owl guy.
yep, she gave him writer's block, and then he has to go to her house because they have joint custody of the cat, and he brings along the kid, which is kind of funny.
He almost leaves him there.
Yeah, he almost left him there. But Andy Richter is the new husband, and he is the creator of the Optimistic Owl. And it was the same owl that was having sex with this random woman in his
Which I believe was
hallucination.
meant to be his wife.
Yep, that was his wife, and he's just doesn't understand why she would leave him for that guy. And he just basically insults Andy Richter the whole time. He's just like, "Oh, is it cool getting inspiration for all those new drawings? You know, like the one of two owls peeing into each other's mouths, or the one where the owl gets peed on. That's a pretty good one. I like that one. I saw it on a couple of 10 buses maybe. Babe, I know you're worked hard all week, so I'm giving you a break this weekend. Live your best life. Have fun. Call me Monday." Bro, what the hell? Alright, random meme. Anyways, so it's obvious, yeah, he's sore over the divorce, and then he goes to the bar, and then this new random girl sits next to him, and she has the tattoo of a elephant getting peed on, and she kind of says, the same things like, "Oh yeah, I saw it on a couple buses, and I thought it was cool." Um, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I like that tattoo." Blah blah blah, and they kind of hit it off. And she's like, "Oh, I'm just here for you know, poetry and crap." And then they don't see each other. And then in the next scene, he instantly sees her again while he's at a store, and she's working at this store, and she goes, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "I'm looking at the crappy competition, trying to get inspiration, looking at these bad greeting cards, and they see, optimistic owl in the corner, and it looks pretty bad. Um, they're all like, "Oh, I hate optimistic owl. It's so stupid. I hate it so much." Anyways, uh, then they, on her break, they went out walking, and he sees, oh, he's really into bum fights. He was watching bum fights for like 3 months, and he sees like a bum that was on TV, the same bum on the street, and he's like, "Oh shit, look, it's the bum." He doesn't say anything. He just kind of looks and stares. The bum looks back and ignores him. He's like, "All right," and they go on talking randomly. Um, and then I guess they're dating, question mark, because she just kisses him. She's like, "I just skip over all the crap stuff." So she kisses him, so I guess they're dating. I don't know. Um, and then he goes back into his former workplace, and he's kind of like sneaking around and stuff like that because he was told by his former boss, "Hey, if you want to get your old stuff, you gotta sneak in there, go in the back door." You know what I'm saying? And he sees Taft with a knife in his belly, and he's like, "Oh my God, Taft!" And then this guy hits him in the head, so he gets knocked out. And he wakes up in his apartment, and this guy that knocked him out is there, and he's like, "Hello, I am Detective Miller, and I have a task for you." Well, apparently that Taft is dead, and I need you to write a romantic card for me to help me with my girlfriend, and if you don't, I'm gonna place all the blame on you. And he's like, "Okay, I guess I'm gonna do that." And then he sees the girl again at the bar, and she gives him a clown as a gift. Why? I wasn't really paying attention, to be honest. Were you?
Uh, they said something I just don't remember what.
Yeah, it was non memorable dialogue. So yeah. Anyways, gets a clown gift, and they're at the Taft funeral, and the wife is quote unquote distraught, and he goes into Taft's office, and he's like, "Oh, I am sorry." And she's like, "Oh, hey, I'm feeling kind of down. You want to help me get over it?" And he kind of doesn't really pay attention because he sees the detective again, the guy that's following him around. He's like, "Hey, is there a back door?" And she's like, "Oh, back door, haha." He's like, "No, I mean, is there a back door to your house?" And she's like, she looks disappointed, even though her husband just died. Looks disappointed as hell. Anyways, so he goes up to the detective and punches him in the face. And we learn that it's not a suicide. Everybody's saying it's a suicide that Taft died, but he knows that he was murdered because he was fucking there. Anyway, so he punches the detective in the face, and he mentions a guy named Gundy, and Gundy is the name of the owner of the place he used to work at. And then we learned very quickly that Gundy had a brother who also owns a card uh, making business. And anyways, so he punches the detective, and he goes off to wherever Gundy is, and he sees a girl on a horse with balloons, and he gets punched out by some Nazis. And he wakes up, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna talk to," and we learn they're actually former Nazis. They were reformed, and they don't hate minorities anymore. They hate the elites. because hey, nobody's better than anyone else. Yeah, yeah, fuck off. And so he meets Robert Gundy, and he's kind of an asshole, and he's like, I like eating beets and whatever. Uh, Servant, get him a beer. Woohoo! And Bob Odenkirk, he accuses Gundy of killing Taft. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa! I didn't kill any Taft. What are you talking about? And he wants him. He's like, yeah, I hired the detective, and I hired other people to try to get you to write this card. I want you to write the card for me. And it's kind of odd how Gundy knows literally everything about Bob Odenkirk. He's like, oh, I know you got a new girlfriend, and she's a hot one. She looks like a keeper to me. Blah blah blah. And I know you got divorced, and I know you're late on your rent. Blah blah blah. Anyways, then Bob goes on an actual date. He goes to the girl's house, and he immediately starts kissing her. They don't really talk much, but then they bang, and he gets unstuck. His writer's block gets unstuck, and he writes the best card ever. And he realizes, he's like, I can only give this to the
Only
I
one
have to
person.
give it to someone. He's gonna give it to his girlfriend, and nobody else. So he goes up to his former boss. He's like, hey, I got the card for you. And he looks at the card. He's like, oh, this is blank. Where's the real card? He's like, it's in my pocket. You're not gonna get it. And he pushes him away. He's like, ha 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 ha. You can't do anything. Anyways. So he goes to give it. He gives it to the girl, and he's like, here's the card. It's only for you. I'm gonna give it to no one else. And she opens it up, reads the card. She's like, oh my god, this is the best card ever. And then we learn that the detective is in the house waiting for him, and it's like, oh my god, the whole time the girl was working for Gundy too. Wow, I did not see that coming. I kind of predicted it like 10 seconds before that happened. Anyways, not to brag or anything. It's not a very big brag. If I thought of it like maybe 10 minutes beforehand, then it would have been cool. But 10 seconds doesn't really count. So detective is ready to take the card, and he reads it, and he's like, "Oh my god, this is the best card ever." And Bob Odenkirk punches him back, and he starts burning the card. And the Nazis come, or I should say, the former Nazis come and kidnap him, because so we learn that the detective, the girl, and the two Nazi guys all work for this Gandhi guy to try to get him to write a card. So they kidnap him, and they're like, oh, the card's destroyed, but he wrote it, he remembers it. So they bring him back, and they start torturing him with paper cuts. And he's like, oh, no, I'm not going to write anything. And that's where we learn that the girl, his new girlfriend, actually has a daughter. And I guess the daughter's being kidnapped or something. It's Gundy's nephew had sex with that girl. And they had a kid.
She's her aunt.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because she says Auntie Jill.
Oh. Well, he calls her a whore. Anyway, I don't know. This is fucked up, because I don't understand, like, what did he have on her?
They're just related. Because the girl's his.
I thought the girl was the daughter, was her daughter. Once again, I wasn't paying attention, because it doesn't really matter, because I started not to care. Because that's how not entertaining this movie was. Anyways, paper cut torture. The girl was paid to be with Bob Odenkirk to get the card. And then Gundy goes on this whole rant of like, oh, I'm in this business. It's a cutthroat business. I killed my brother to get to him. I'm not going to let the fact that he's a relative get to him. And he starts pointing the gun at the girl. He's like, if you don't tell me the card, I'm going to shoot her. And that's when, like, the former Nazi guy shoots Gundy with the shotgun. And we think he's dead. And then Instead of like going, I'm not gonna give my car to anyone, he's like, I'm gonna give the car to him anyways. Why? Because. So Gundy's crazy, gives up the card anyways, and he becomes a uh, driving instructor,
Yep.
and he slows down by where the bum is, and he watches him again. And then the bum finds a card with money in it. Oh, that was a disastrous movie. That was, I didn't even know this. It was like written partly by Bob Odenkirk, and Bob Odenkirk was a producer. I was like, oh look, Bob Odenkirk, this is gonna be good. Like I thought this movie was made for him, but it was written by him, and like I did not like this movie. Like a very below average movie. I think on Rotten Tomatoes it was said it was 43%. Yeah, I'm gonna give this movie. There were some parts that had potential, but it's just like, it's like how do you describe like how not good it was? There was like some characters that were like really really good, and it was like, oh, what's this character gonna do? And why does it? By the way, you just popped up the subscriber account. What is wrong with you people? Stop it! It keeps going up. No, unsubscribe. Go down. Just like this bad movie is. I would rate it a 2 out of 5. It's below 2.5 is average, and it's just below average just because Bob Odenkirk's in it. They had some good potential with it, but there was no like oomph. There's no oomph there. There was a lot of characters that are there. You're like, why are they here? They were just randomly there. Um, Especially the poet guy. Like he didn't need to be there. Like he gave an ambiance to where they were at, but you just felt like you didn't realize that he was an alcoholic until someone said like, "Oh, you're an alcoholic." It's like, "Oh, I guess he goes to this bar all the time." Like I didn't get a sense that he was going there all the time. Um, yeah, then the poet guy, he comes again. He's reading another poem, and it's just like he's just in the background now. It's like, why was that there? His former boss, like right after he fires him, I want you to write another card. Why? What does this girlfriend's day have to do with anything? Why is the Gundy guy so insane with I want you to write a card for me? Like why? Why did he kill Taft? Why? There's no reason. He's your competition, so you kill him? You do this all the time, and people work for you? Like what the hell?
uh, Only former Nazis work for. We only see the two
that's the only thing
former
that
Nazis.
that's the only thing that made sense is the former Nazis. The former Nazis were the best characters in this movie. That's how not good this movie was.
And they're also the two dumbest characters in the movie.
Yeah, they're like we hate elites now. That made the most sense.
I never did a hate crime. I just could not put up the cross.
You just put up the cross in time. That's really hard to do. He was in maximum security for what, 5 years? You said.
Yeah.
He got out, and I got out, and there was a greeting card waiting for me. It was the best greeting card. Did you write this? Yeah, it was just there's nothing there. I was disappointed. So that's what I get for trusting it. Bob Odenkirk. Oh, by the way, I have to check it off my list now.
That was our review of Girlfriend's Day. Sometime next weekend, we're gonna review the 4:30 movie at an undetermined time. Not the movie at 4:30.
Man, I need to find better movies.
Because
Spaceman and Girlfriend's Day.
I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan, and this is his newest movie. So we'll hopefully review it sometime next week. But Tuesday, Wednesday, we may or may not have our usual D&D. Thursday, we'll do episodes 16 and 20 through 20 of One Piece, unless if we get another 1,076 subscribers. Then we will, by Thursday, we'll watch an extra 5. And what I just said, 16 through 20.
Hey, you're giving me depression.
16 through 25 we will do.
Quit it. Okay, anyways, that's the end of our review. So I'm Skeeter, and that is...
Derp derp.
Thank you.
Like, subscribe, comment. Help us get to that goal.
Or not, just don't. I think it takes too much effort for you to actually